Farrakhan telling you from the pulpit that he playing both sides. But y'all letting emotion run your loyalty, not your logic. You letting his skin tone hijack your reason right off the cliff. He is also part of the Bois society. So is your pastor. Let me show you how I know. Your highly favored W.E.B. Du Bois can be thanked for the black churches being part of the conspiracy. W.E.B. Du Bois was a Harvard-educated black man chosen by the elite to be a staple in the black community. He sold his soul to Margaret Sanger and taught her how to target black women to abort their babies, giving her an in for our community, which was the black preacher. She called us weeds, and here it is, we call cannabis weed, and we smoke it on 420. Then they send our people away for weed all over this country to the prison plantations. Who is Margaret Sanger, you may ask? She is the progenitor of Planned Parenthood. As the mistress of Cecil B. DeMille of Hollywood, she received the seed money to get that psyop started. She consulted with W.E.B. Du Bois to find out how to tap into the psyche of the black man and woman. Why? Why did she have it out for black people? Because her father had a liaison with a stripper and had a baby, which was later found dead, and the death of that child was covered up by the New York Police Department. But that's another topic for another post, another day by somebody else. But because of her daddy issues, she, through the help of the Rothschilds, who are related to the Annenbergs, who run the media industrial complex and own TV Guide, through them, the Rockefeller money and Carnegie money set up this eugenics lab to eradicate whoever they deemed as feeble-minded, which were the melanated peoples in her head. In 1929, the first Planned Parenthood was established in Harlem at 125th and Lenox. This was in the works from 1883 and is still plaguing our people with more pain and more pain, compiling on top of generational traumas. And to this day, this company is only found in low-income neighborhoods containing black and brown people. This is what your government allows. And today, it doesn't matter the skin tone. It's classism, not just racism. So we got to get our money up. And that's what I talk about in the Affluence Alliance. Again, all citizens are economic slaves. Only sovereigns who have made their claim that they're sovereign aren't part of the system. So, my dear melanated brothers and sisters, from the Arabians to the Aboriginals, are you opted out or still opted in? If this isn't enough to get your eyes to open, let me show you how we're all enemies of the state since the late 1800s. You're going to want to hear this. We the people aren't the we in those people. Pope Pius IX pressured Ulysses S. Grant to create a second constitution in 1871. Y'all trying to vote in a system so you can claim a seat at the table, but it's an illusion. You're not at their table. You're just pawns on the table. Hell, we all are. The elite own the most powerful military in the world. Now that you're getting better insight to what they're doing, plan a strategy. It was in 1964 that Lyndon Baines Johnson said he would keep blacks in the Democratic Party for more than 300 years. And it's working. You supporting a party that ain't supporting you. It's giving you handouts, welfare, and Social Security benefits, but you need to know that you're also giving away your liberties at the same time. The seed of need is what caused the fall in the first place. The seed of need is what's implanted into the minds of the Americans to think that they require handouts from a centralized banking system that's tricking you into playing their game. If you want to get out of their game, you'll join me at the next inception of the Affluence Alliance. I show you proven ways to make your own money by learning how to play the game they play. This banking system ain't nothing but pimps and hoes. It keeps you dependent on the system because you lack insight to the system as well as self-knowledge. They keep you at a low level of contentment using various forms of entertainments where the energy they send your way siphons energy from your auric field, and you come more and more into agreement with your oppressor. Obama did more for gays than he did for black people, but he did pass legislation for the Moors. Alex, I'll take a clue for 300, please. But only identifying with his skin color and the media reports, you threw logic out the window. People who are citizens and not sovereign persons are subservient to the monarchy. Some of y'all have gone insane. The deep state created taxation, the same system that was fought by the United States in the American Revolutionary War to get away from the crown. Now they're incorporating your biological property and stock shares on the global market. And please, y'all, please do not give your DNA to Ancestry.com, those companies like 23andMe, to tell you what stock you're made of. Talk to your mama. Talk to your grandmama. Research the census, because you give up the right to your own DNA doing this. You're giving your DNA away to companies who have contracted with other corporations that cause you to lose the rights to your own body. Let me say that again. You lose the rights to your own body. Good luck when the military comes around talking about, we got paperwork here that says we own you, so bend over and take a deep breath. This New World Order is run by Washington, which is the military arm of the system, London, which is the financial hub of the system, and the Vatican, which is the one world religion arm, which has its own bank. This banking system, this corporatocracy, has us as shares, a commodity to other countries, using our birth certificates to get paid when that job pays you, and a death certificate, causing AIG and Chase and Wells Fargo being paid out from insurance that was taken out on your head. And let me tell you about another psyop this media propagates behind your back to your face. Walmart was sued in 2010 in Florida because they took out dead peasants insurance out on their employees when the families didn't receive any financial death benefits, but the company did. This is why Walmart never shut down during the COVID conspiracy. They're part of the elite families owning an extremely large portion of the world's wealth. You remember the E. coli pandemic, right? It was also a false flag because that stands for Executive Corporation Owned Life Insurance, where if CEOs and CFOs die, their corporation gets paid, not their family. This banking system is full of pimps and hoes and ran by the gay mafia of the Vatican Church. What side are you on? Are you the pimp slanging real estate? Are you the pimp trading these currencies in $1 trillion industry? Or are you the hoe paying your taxes and paying your rent like a good little? This global fractionalized banking system is built to keep a pawn and to perpetuate our trauma and create drama so they can get paid from our damage inside that causes us to cause damage outside from riots and protests and even littering. This is a part of the feudal system of psychological enslavement to manipulate our emotions. Why do you think those bricks were just perfectly sprawled out across cities who suffered another senseless death of a black man? Because the elite know how well they've been weaponizing our pain over these last few decades and know from their predictive programming that it would cause a reaction in us that had to be played out. They've studied the black psyche, y'all. And check it, these bricks were strategically placed throughout the nation near properties owned and insured 80% by Berkshire Hathaway, as well as 20% by Jay Pritzker, the same guy who runs the state of Illinois, the same guy who owned the hotel and helicopter that Kobe was set up as a rapist and killed in. This is why Swordfish is one of my favorite movies. They are master illusionists. The elite want you to destroy your neighborhood so they can have cars to come in and gentrify. That's exactly what they did with Rodney King, whose cooperation was paid very handsomely as a pawn in the LA riots. And the guy who doctored the footage was an FBI agent provocateur. He was also paid extremely well too. How a white man just so happened to be in a black neighborhood with a charged VHS camera with a tape in it at the scene of a crime in the 90s? Question everything. That's why just recently the camera Rodney King was filmed with went up for sale during the Breonna Taylor justice process. It's all connected to keep your emotions anxious and angry, because those are the strings they pull for the puppetry of your psyche so they can get paid off your pain. You can't get mad anymore at the elite when you're playing into their hands. There's a reason why self-control is a fruit of the spirit. It's a continuous psychological warfare. And y'all playing with bows and arrows that y'all should be throwing at your enemies. This is what happens when we get a seat at the table. We turn the tables on our own. Y'all steady trying to integrate while the gerrymandering carves your significance right out of their bottom line. That system was not built for us. So if your maternal grandmother was born in North America, Central America, or South America, let me tell you what system is for us. But I'm not finna give it to you here. You gotta want it, so DM me for details. The elite are regularly exploiting us, literally betting and banking on, one, us not being able to control ourselves, and two, on the fact that we ain't gonna read to save our lives. Malcolm X was warning us about the segregationists that were running this show y'all calling reality. But even his story was manipulated by a guy named Albert Bach, an FBI agent provocateur fronting as a journalist with Alex Haley, who in 1962 removed 3 chapters from his autobiography. Gloria Steinem, who started the feminist movement, was also an FBI agent provocateur who got government money to finance Ms. Magazine, yet another propaganda machine. This was orchestrated by the elite because they saw untapped revenue for taxes. So the government employed an additional apparatus to serve as an extra stream of income. Malcolm X was not a Democrat. He was a conservative Republican. But those in power who was controlling the narrative to influence the black population to think like they wanted us to think, manipulated his truth for their own secret agenda. And from the previous volumes, ain't secret no more. Just like Malcolm was taken out by the Zionist Jews in 1965, Booker T. Washington was working at Tuskegee University and didn't want to take part in the syphilis experiment against his people. So he was taken out by these Jews because Julius Rosenwald had already paid $5 million to the university to carry out these plans. And it's these same Zionist Jews that created the KKK, not your regular run-of-the-mill white folk who are just working to feed their families like we are, but the Jews by religion, not by blood. The Zionists also hired Albert Pike to be the face of the KKK so as to purport the misdirection within this chess game that they're playing on humanity. Rothschild's so rich they ain't even on the Forbes list. And it's these same Zionist Jews that took out Cosby's son because he was attempting to purchase NBC. Same people who set up Black Lives Matter and hired these 3 women to be the face of it. They set up these organizations to mislead and manipulate. And the elite also deport truthers out of this country, like Dr. Marcus Garvey, who was a multimillionaire in the early 1920s. He was a direct threat to the government because he was involved in the political structure of America.